Welcome back to Mindset Medicine with Dr. Tanya B. Today, I am with Somatic coach Amanda Sproles for a conversation about codependency recovery, parenting with compassion, and nervous system tools you can use in the middle of real life. If you have been losing people as you level up, this one is definitely for you. Welcome to Mindset Medicine with Dr. Tanya Burfield, where science meets soul, burnout meets boundaries, and high achieving women finally stop performing and start healing. I am a resilience and transformation expert, nervous system strategist, and recovering overfunctioner just like you. This podcast is your sanctuary for breaking cycles, rewriting stories, and reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your power. Each week, we blend neuroscience, somatic practices, and spiritual truth to help you unlearn the noise and remember who you really are. You're not broken. You're breaking free. And this is your medicine. With me today, I have Amanda Sproles. This is going to be such a funny conversation because as we got to know each other a little bit at the beginning, it turns out we've done some very similar trainings at some very similar, if not same places with the same instructors. So how fascinating is that? So with me, like I said, is Amanda Sproles. She is a somatic coach, very much like me. And so I think this is going to be a super interesting conversation. Amanda, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're
Grateful to
very
be here.
welcome. Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's just start with who you are, what you do, how you got here. So just tell us a little bit about maybe what it is you do and what led you to do this work.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go off the cuff.
Hmm.
What led me to this work? I'll start there. So I grew up with parents that were not very regulated, basically. And so I learned all these things that I'm like, I remember I was about 16 and I was standing in my bedroom and looking around. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why don't I fit in and how can I change it? And I feel like that was kind of
Hmm.
the spark that led me to realize I don't want to live my whole life like this. I don't want to stay stuck in this trauma and this shame and this blaming and all these things. I want to really be able to be authentically me and not feel scared to be myself. And so it took quite a while for me to realize that. I honestly wish I had raised my children differently. I would do it totally different now, but I did
I
the
think
best
we
I
all
could with
believe
what I
that.
had. Yeah.
Yep. Well.
So, yeah, but now like I'm like I just kept finding little pieces, snippets here and there. And then
Hmm.
I ended up after raising 4 kids a little bit, I went back to school and I went into occupational therapy, which is helping people to, do whatever it is they want in life. Children to play. I worked in um, the schools here in town with preschool up to high school age children, and then also in the nursing homes. And as it went on, it was like I ended up in a nursing home, and I was just like, I all these people I wanna help people not end up there. I wanna help people to really feel empowered to live their life, not regret at the end of their life that they never really did what they wanted.
Hmm.
And,
Yep.
it's interesting because trigger warning, like, both my parents passed fairly young,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that they didn't have the resources to be present with their emotions. And so they passed regretting a lot of their life and regretting not
Hmm.
fulfilling their purpose and their dreams. And it was funny because right around the time that my mom passed first, I was like ready to I'm going to figure out what's going on and how I can do better. Like I really had found some tools and I was really getting on the path of becoming myself instead of the mask that I had hidden behind all those years to keep myself safe. And
Hmm.
so it really just propelled me even more to like this. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I know there's a better way out there and I'm going to help cultivate that. And so I ended up going through the Somatic Coaching Academy. I went through a program to help the subconscious beliefs that hold you stuck. I love music, dance, movement, and really just incorporated all the different things from different places together to
Mhm.
create this place where wellness is nurtured instead of condemned. Because if somebody had told me this 20 years ago, I would have been like, "No, stay away, you're evil," you know? And so it
Mhm.
was really I had to recognize that it's safe to be myself. But I realized I had to change how I was talking to myself, and people are like, "Do it different." I'm like, "I don't know, what does different even sound like? Like, how
Right.
what is different? Like, how do I
Yep.
talk nicely to myself?" I literally had
Mhm.
to listen for a long
Mhm.
time. I listened to, someone who's on everywhere. Her name's Sarah Blondin, and
Mhm.
she was a great teacher for me because she spoke very kindly, and you just have to learn to emulate the people that you wanna be like. Like, we can't
Mhm.
keep yeah, we can't keep turning to people who don't have peace and asking them how we can receive peace. And that was a
Right.
big shift for
Right.
me, you
Mhm.
know? So, yeah, that's kind of a little about me. So that's like, I wanna help everyone to get this. I don't want people to have to search for years and years and years and just get these little slivers. I want them to really be able to know where to turn because there's a lot of
Mhm.
great information and there's a lot of shame information. And
Mhm.
sometimes they get intertwined as if the shame is good, and I'm like, "No, no, that's not where I want to go with my life or my path." So, yeah, so that it just led me to here and to sit here with you, Tanya.
I love it, I love it. So there were probably about 5 nuggets in there that I wanna dig into. I'm not sure we're gonna get to
Okay,
all
yes,
of them, but we'll start
yes,
somewhere. So
yes.
one of the things that I think is really interesting that you talked about is, having growing up with parents that are not regulated and what that can look like, and I don't always talk about this very openly just because he's not this anymore, and
Mhm,
I always am so afraid it's gonna come off as hurtful when I don't mean that at all. But my dad is an alcoholic, and growing up with that means that you learn how to behave a little bit differently. I've got one of the best poker faces around. I won't give
mm,
away more than I want you to know, but I'm also pretty open and expressive because I learned really quickly to figure out when it's safe to express how I'm feeling and when it's not. And I also, now that I'm older and pretty confident in who I am, which I wasn't always. Now I'm like, I don't really care if you don't like what I have to say. I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to be kind when I typically, mostly when I have to share what I have to share. But like, I'm going to tell you what that is. But I think that that's really challenging and not easy, and something that a lot of people don't ever get to the point that they understand and can reflect on what they didn't have
mhm.
versus what they wish they had had, and then how do they move past that. So to understand at a young age that your parents were not regulated, and to know that that's not how you want to do things, and then figure out how to do that different, is really challenging. And so good for you for being able to do that. That's a lot. And especially like you made the comment about wishing you had raised your kids different. We all think that, we make mistakes. There are things that they, I'm sure, have to forgive me for and move on and relearn. We talked about this for a moment. One of the other things that Amanda and I had in common is that I've raised 3 boys and have 3 dogs. She has 4 kids and has 4 dogs. So I think that at some point you recognize your capacity and you do that in kids and dogs.
There you go. There you go.
But I'm certain
Absolutely.
that your kids would say, "Sure, there are things I don't love and things that we could have done differently," but at the same time, recognizing that we did the best for them. Were there any moments as you were raising your kids that you especially were like, this is the thing I need to do differently, or I need to do better, and this has maybe made a change in trajectory or in your path, so to speak?
Yeah, well, like a whole bunch of things flood through my
Right,
brain when you
right.
say
But
that.
here are the
But
first 20.
yeah, 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 exactly. So I think, one of the hard things is I really didn't realize how dysregulated I was until
Mm,
maybe, like, 2018. So it has been like, I was
mhm,
learning a lot of skills, but I
mhm.
didn't really realize it, and that's
Yeah.
kinda when I was like, "Okay, I need to do it different." So I think one of the pivotal thing moments was, um we had some health crises, and I realized it's just my job to love them, not to judge them, not to condemn
Mhm,
them, but just to love them. It's funny because I think about how I was raised, well, I'm going to protect you from the world by letting you know how the world's going to treat you if you do
Mm,
X, Y, Z. And that
yep.
really was not helpful on any level. Like it
Mhm.
really was not. And I realized that I'm like, I need to just love them. And it's hard because the people who are used to you doing things differently get upset. Well, how come you're not telling them this or that? Or how come you're not
Yep.
scolding them or whatever? They don't get it. And so
Mhm.
it was really just love. And
Mhm.
that was like, just love them. Don't judge them. Let them choose their own path. Let them be their own person. Let them do the thing, wear the
Yep.
thing, be the thing. And,
Yep.
and it's funny because, um, they're all grown-ish. My youngest is 18. So on this path of discovery, they're old enough that they really don't wanna hear what I have to say right now, and
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
fine,
Yep. What do you
but
know?
also they don't realize, yeah, but they don't know how I have shifted so much. I had
Mhm.
a dear friend I hadn't seen in, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and we got together, and she's doing counseling, and I'm doing the somatic stuff, and we were gonna do a session I was gonna do a session with her, and I got to her office, and she's like, "Well, tell me about yourself." I'm like, "Let's do a session, and then we'll talk." And it was
Mhm.
beautiful because then she saw me. I was able to help guide her through to herself, not to me, to
Yep.
herself. But in the process, it was like, she's like, now I get it. Now I get why you wanted to do that
Mhm.
instead of chit chat first. Because
Right.
it's really in the doing. You can tell somebody how to ride a bicycle all day long, but until you
Mhm.
do it, you're not gonna know. So
Mhm.
for me, it's all about like, what can we do? What can I do to help support you to know and learn and maybe even recognize it's safe enough to support yourself again?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yet another nugget because I've got several now. One of the things that you said, and I'm really curious about this because I've had a similar experience, and I think that that would line up for you as well, probably, is
Yeah.
this when you make these changes, it's like
Mhm.
setting boundaries as one, but then making changes and trying to be a different person, trying to sort of rise up to your higher self and live more authentically to who you really are. Not everybody loves that. And so the expectation changes or the pushback starts. And I had a really, like, I've been doing this work for a long time and I've been working on these things for a really long time. But it's really probably about 6 months ago, I had just this amazing shift that in the end was really good, but it was not good going through it. It was really rough. I had, like, the number of people that fell out of my life at that moment was so hard for me, because I was no longer willing to just serve and not get anything back in return, or to just be mistreated in return, or to just not have a relationship that was worth having. And so I lost a couple of friends. I lost for a little while some family members. Most of that has come back around. Professionally, because yeah, I told you I also work at a college. Some of my colleagues who I had really good relationships fell out. Like, and some of my clients had some really weird dynamics, and it was like for no reason. All of this just very I keep using the word unhinged, like, why is this so unhinged? Why is everybody so hateful? And why is this struggle happening? And why am I losing these people in my life? But I'm also not willing to just accept where I'm at, and I'm not willing to just take it from them. And so that was hard, and it was probably the first time in my life that I stepped up and said, "Nope, we're not doing this." And it means that if you
Right.
want to leave my life, then you get to leave my life. I'm not going to force you to be a part of my life. I'm not going to force you to like me. I'm not going to force myself on you. And if that means that holidays are different, or, whatever it is, like if we're going to just operate in a very different framework, then we're going to do that. And I'm okay. I'm not angry. I'm not mad at you. I'm not frustrated with you. I'm not, like, I don't have any ill will. I'm just not going to do that anymore. And I think there were some people that were very taken by surprise, and it took a little bit, but they finally, some have repaired and some we've just moved on from, and I'm okay with that. Did you have similar
Oh my
experiences?
gosh, yes. The whole
She's
thing, like
rolling her eyes.
flashbacks the whole time you were speaking, and I'm sorry, I've got the sun right here.
Mm,
No, yeah,
mhm.
no, that's actually still a work in progress,
Yeah,
but also
and maybe
recognizing.
always, right?
Yeah,
Maybe it'll always be a
definitely,
work in progress, yeah, yeah.
definitely. Yeah, no, it's been interesting because, um, some of the things that I dropped and stopped being controlling over or trying to
Mhm.
manipulate
Yep.
people into liking me, I'm
Mhm.
not doing it anymore. And they've gotten frustrated. And for me, I
Yep.
feel like there's some people that come into our lives to stay, and some people are just meant to be there for a season. And so
Yep.
allowing it not to be that I'm right and they're wrong, or they're right and I'm wrong. It's not a wrong right thing. It's just what
Mhm.
fits now. And it
Yeah.
doesn't make either of it bad, but it's just what it's and it's taken me a little bit because I grew up also with I'm my parents were children of addicts, like alcohol or
Mhm.
things like that. Not that it was fully, um, it was a little different than the
Mhm.
normal kind, but it was because of that. Well, I feel like my parents were both codependents,
Mhm.
so that they're
Mhm.
really needed each other's approval to love themselves, but that doesn't really work. So that's why I feel like they never
Yep.
got where they wanted to be. So they raised me to be that. It's funny. My counselor said, he's like, I said, I one day I'm like, I just heard this word, a codependent. I'm like, what is that? And is that? I'm like, I think I might be a little codependent. He's like, Amanda, you are a flaming codependent. And he just busted up laughing, And it's so funny because it's so true. Like when I realized
Yep.
it, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
I am like textbook. Like,
Yep.
and like, even the order of our children, and, like, the first one was the hero, the second was the scapegoat, the third one was forgotten, the fourth was I don't remember what the term was, but I'm, like,
Mhm.
literally in order, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?"
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But then
Mhm.
recognizing and trusting the universe that what they are going through because of that, if it wasn't supposed to be that way, it wouldn't. And I
Mhm.
think that's where I'm totally just anyway, Michael Singer, I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
him.
yeah.
He has a
Mhm.
book, The Untethered Soul, and he's really
Mhm.
like relax and release. If it wasn't supposed to be that way, it wouldn't be. Like, instead
Mhm.
of hyperventilating about thinking something needs to be different,
Mhm.
trusting that whatever is coming to us was our it was supposed to happen that way. And how can
Right.
we not and that's what
Yeah.
I love about the somatics and all of it is how can
Mhm.
we just relax into whatever. If somebody doesn't like me right now, somebody wants to be unkind, somebody thinks I should be doing something different,
Mhm.
I've learned to, like, not own their viewpoint. It's still a
Yep.
work in progress, but,
Mhm.
really,
Yeah.
but
It's
the
hard.
more we can
Mhm.
separate that and be like, I I can honor that that's how you feel, but I don't have to own that as my identity.
Mhm.
And so that's something else. I also love writing poetry. That's been a big part of my healing
Mm.
journey too. So,
That's
like, I
beautiful, yeah.
literally got a client that came and saw me because I read my poem. He's like, "I wanna work with you."
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so it's
I think
fun.
that
It's
a
so
bit
fun.
yeah, that's beautiful. I think that a
Yeah.
big part of that, like, transition, that release is ego, right? Like, needing to
Mhm.
control is about safety and making sure that we're
Right.
secure and we're not gonna be hurt. But I think there's some ego piece there too. You made a comment that made me think about that, like, it's okay if they're not gonna think that, like, the best of me or their expectation isn't gonna be met. That's their expectation, their narrative, their story. But that's hard, and that takes some work to let that go and to be able to step above that and just be okay and be comfortable in that space. Yeah, that's a
Absolutely.
tough one.
Absolutely.
You,
Yeah.
there there's another one that you talk about with your parents that it just makes me come back to this. So I taught a class over the weekend at a, wellness festival that I was at that was about the mother wound, and
Mm,
this is a thing that I think a
yes.
lot of people forget is that, they're people too, right? Like, My parents were 16 and 17 when they had me. It was far from perfect. They were babies. I think about, like, I'm still making mistakes at my age in my 50s. I can't can you even imagine doing that at 16 and 17 years old? And they like, my dad went in the military and they moved away, and so they didn't really have family support, and so I can't even imagine trying to do that. And so for my entire life, like, anything that went wrong was my mom's fault, like, that was just what I did.
Mm,
My dad could do no wrong. He was probably the one that was at the base of what was wrong, but I was
mhm.
always blaming her for it, and so just recognizing that they're people, there's not anything even to forgive there. They were doing the best they could with what they had and needing to move,
Mhm.
we just need to forgive them, whether we understand what they did or why they were behaving that way, and then remembering that they were raised by people, and they were raised by people, and they were raised by people, and that culture was different, generations were different. And so the expectations of how you raised your kids, like my grandmother, she's 90, we've been going through some health stuff with her, and she still jokes about, like, they put Pepsi in the bottles for the babies. Like, it was just normal. That's what you did. It was new and it was cool, and you put a Pepsi in a bottle. Or, like, can you imagine doing that
Yeah.
today, and, like, the way the world would react to that? So
Oh
that,
my
you know, you
gosh.
just when you think about that and what that means for what they were going through in that moment, and just not feeling like we were saying about not caring about, like, other people's expectations, but then also releasing that for your parents and for their parents too, because that for me was the thing that created the most growth, was just understanding they weren't intending this or that. They were just
Oh,
intending to do the best they could with what they had. It was fine.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that victim villain thing is really strong,
Oh. Ugh.
and when we can shift out of that, it's like and
Mhm.
recognizing that things are happening for us, not to us. That
Mhm.
one word just shifts it all, realizing
Yeah.
that even the hard things, even I uh, it's amazing that there's some people in my life who are like, you know, what was the benefit of them not doing that for you?
Mhm.
And seeing the reverse, okay, I am
Yep.
stronger because I didn't have the crutch of someone else doing something for me that I
Mhm.
really need to do for myself.
Yeah.
And also, it's one of the things that stood out when you were saying that is for me, the ego can either go one of two ways. It can make you feel better than, or it can make you feel less than. And
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize that my ego wanted me to feel less than, and it wanted to be right. And so,
Yes.
really, I was like, even though I felt less than everyone, it was as just as egoic as someone who felt better than everyone.
Mhm.
And how can we
Mhm.
recognize that we don't have to play those roles anymore
Yeah.
and
Yep.
realize we can let go. We're safe enough to be able to let go of that.
Mhm. It's
So,
so, so good. Yeah. I think for a long
yeah.
time, for me, I was very defensive. Like, if you were gonna critique me or give me any kind of, like, constructive feedback, I led from a place of defense. And I was in my professional
Yeah.
career before I recognized I was doing that. And thankfully, I was able to have enough self-reflection to be able to figure that out so I could step back from it. But that was hard. And it's still, every once in a while, it's a physical, you're talking about somatics, it's a physical reaction I can feel bubbling up. I'm like, no, no, put that down. We're not doing that. We need to hear what's being said so that we can learn from it. We can grow from it. We can do all of those things. When
Yeah.
we connected on you coming onto the podcast, I was looking at your social media, and just in a quick
Right.
scroll, there was one post in particular that you put out that I
Mhm.
was like, "Ooh, we're going to talk about that." So
Okay.
it's a quote, and it was Rumi
Uh-huh.
said, "As you start to walk on the way appears. Clarity doesn't come
Mhm.
before action; it comes from action."
Yes.
I really love that, and I think that really, we just led right into it, right? Like,
Yeah.
when we are trying to put our ego first and we're trying to determine what something looks like and set the way, like, this is the path and this is the only path, it's probably not gonna work that way. But when we can step back from that, then sometimes that openness will create the path for us. What does that mean to you?
Mm. That means that I set down my own perception of right and wrong and good and bad,
Mhm,
and I allow things to come more organically. It's like
mhm,
this releasing. I love music. I instantly think of a song, I release control and surrender to the flow of love. That
Mm.
will heal me. And
Yep.
for me, that has been pivotal. Like instead of clinging, it's so sad and true at the same time, you know. If you set it free, if it comes back to you as meant to be yours, you know. I spent a lot of my life holding on to
Yep.
that bird for
Mhm.
dear life. And now I'm like,
Yep.
you know what? Let me set it free. I had a conversation with somebody recently and we just have different of opinion. And I'm like, you know, I'm not here to make you be anything to me. Like, I want you to be happy. And if being happy is what we can be together, then that's great. But if not, then our friendship, you know, maybe it's time to move on. But I'm not here to I want you to be happy.
Mhm.
And and I think that for me that is the difference because I used to feel like my safety required everyone else to like me and
Mhm.
for me to have certain things in place in my life. And relaxing and releasing into if it's meant to be, it will last. And instead of clinging, has been like, oh, I can finally relax because I feel like all these years I have my body, my spirit,
Mhm.
my everything was just anxiety, panic, tension. And now I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's just allow things to be what they are. And I'm working on myself. I'm
Mhm.
continually
We always are.
working on moving forward. And so it's not like I'm just going to give up and watch TV. No, I'm going to keep searching for me. And in the search for me, then the those people that are meant to stay in my life will be there, and the new people are
Mhm.
meant to be in my life will be there. Because I've noticed even over the past couple years, I've had some amazing people just randomly come into my life. And when we're in alignment with ourselves, that higher knowing can give us the guidance and the wisdom to be like, hey, you know, I'm going to go to the farmer's market early today, or I'm going to go here or there. And just being open to, well, I'm just here for the produce. No, I'm not. I'm here for life.
Mhm.
And what's going to show up, allowing things to come to us, allowing abundance to flow freely instead of trying to force something to be a certain way. And
Mhm.
I think that that's so much better. Things can be so much better than you would even imagine. You know, I wanted a
Yeah.
house years ago. And I thought, I'm like, this is good enough. This will be fine. It'll work. And it would have worked, but it wasn't really what I wanted, but it didn't work out, you know, and I
Mhm.
did everything in my power. And then I remember sitting outside of it and I'm like, you know what? If it was supposed to work out, it would have.
Mhm.
And then a house that was twice as good in a much better neighborhood that was on the market for a great price came available. And I bought that. And so recognizing the things we think we want and that we cling to
Mhm.
aren't actually what we really would be best for us. Or maybe
Mhm.
even, you know, the universe wants to give us something better than what we think we want. So
Yes.
why not let that happen instead? And
Yeah.
that's the way to live life. Just trust even the hardest things. There's
Mhm.
wisdom in this. An ailment to the
Yeah.
body, you know, whatever's going on. Oh, what is that message telling me? Oh, I need to do
Yep.
this different so that my body can take care of itself. You know, just becoming friends and ultimately our best friend with ourselves instead of
Mhm.
thinking we need to be the enemy of our
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. It's back to that whole victim thing. Instead of happening to me, it's happening for me. Mhm.
yes, yes.
I love it. So tell me how you work with people in order to do some of these things and to work through some of these like transitions or challenges or whatnot.
Right. So the biggest thing that I found is we have to put in those foundational things. You have to have, it's like taking and saying, I'm going to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. You know, I don't got any of the tools. And I'm like, no, we've
Yeah.
got to like recognize, okay, what do I need? So for me, it's about recognizing, assessing what tools people already have, or maybe they don't have any. I've talked to some people, I'm like, what do you do if you get stressed out and things get overwhelmed? They're like, "Oh, after a few days it goes away." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want
Yeah,
people to
no.
have to
No, it
wait
doesn't. You just
days."
buried
I
you
don't.
buried it, that's all.
Yeah, yeah. If people reach out, I can send them a little sheet of a few techniques that can help them to regulate their nervous
Fantastic.
system.
Great.
So I
Yep.
do have that if they email me. Um,
Mhm.
but that wasn't the intent of that. But it's funny because when we bring those tools in, we bring those tools in and we try out different ones to see which ones fit. And then I like to build a safe place. I call it my oasis. Like, where is a safe place you can go to in your mind to support yourself? So then we cultivate that. And then we, all along the way, we check, how are you speaking to yourself? Are you speaking kindly to yourself?
Mhm.
Do you need to shift just a few words?
Mhm.
Or do you need to change the script like me? I had to change the full script and throw it
Yep.
away. Like, I had to change that.
Mhm.
But so we need to do the mindset, how we're talking to ourselves, find movement and stillness that works, tapping into the breath work. But we have to, it's kind of, you need to cater it to each individual person.
Mhm.
It's not a one size fits all, and this is what you do next. It's like, oh, what pieces need to be put in place the most? Like maybe if you think about a boat that's sinking, you're gonna patch the biggest hole first. You're not gonna go to the
Mhm.
little pinholes. So
Yep.
it's kind of like, how can we make it a little smoother and get rid of some of those gaping holes in our lives and in our experience, and maybe the ones we didn't think were a big deal that really are. And
Mhm.
that's why I think the mindset and how we speak to ourselves is so very pivotal, because it doesn't matter if I'm doing all these good things for myself and I'm just beating myself up. I've got that devil on my shoulder. You're horrible.
Yep.
Who do you think you are? You're not worthy. Like, all those things. So those all need to be like, we need to gently, with compassion, be able to set that down and be like, hey,
Yep.
we're
Mhm.
not going to be that way to ourselves anymore. So I think it's all of those things. And then we can get to the deeper levels where we go really into the more um, difficult things, but
Mhm.
we gotta get the tools to climb Mount Everest. We can't
Mhm.
just be dropped off at the top and try and make our way down. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I've tried. I mean, I know lots of people who
Mhm.
try, well, just rip it off, just push through. And that was the way of our
Uh-uh.
parents,
Yep.
but it does not serve us anymore. And we don't need to shame anyone for being that way, but also
Mhm.
choosing not to live our lives that way can is such a better way. So really,
Yeah.
I do have group classes that I've just started up twice a week. If people would like to come try it out, they can
Mhm.
try it out. And also, I do work one on one in person and online to help support people. And I'm going to get another program started in the next 2 months that's really a parent child one as well. Because of where I've
Oh.
been, I want to introduce something like that where it can be more of a group setting, kind of teaching, but also helping the children and the parents to learn together, because it's so much better than just on our own.
Mhm.
So those are some of the
Yeah.
things that are in the works right now, because I feel like it's so important. I want to help the moms and dads out there to be able to get regulated with their children so that they can teach and empower their kids with what they need. So,
100%. So the book that I'm releasing on October 10th is called Radical Resilience. It's mindset medicine for high achieving
mm,
women who are struggling with burnout and anxiety and trying to find their common clarity. And in the appendices, I actually wrote a parenting section because I feel like there are a couple of things that the book is about trying to figure out how to deal with this yourself, very much like what you were talking about, and working yourself through this regulation and understanding what the challenges have been and how do we get past that. But then there is this other piece. There are two of them actually, but one of them is if you want to feel like you are successful as a parent, if you want to set your kids up for the best success that you possibly can, you need to know how to apply this. And so, very much like you were saying, how do we do this in a way that's going to serve them and help them understand themselves too? Because I actually started some of this path because one of my kids was struggling with dyslexia and ADHD, and this was 20 years ago. I didn't want to just do the medications. I wanted to figure out how do we do this. And so we started with nutrition, and then we went down the path of physical fitness, and then we went down the path of sort of what at the time we would probably have called alternative health or wellness, which was really like guided meditation and structuring his life in a way that makes the most sense. And that led me completely here to where I am. And so like I was saying, I included part of that in the book. And then the other part of that too, because I work a lot with women who are still in the workplace, is using these processes in leadership. I have 3 degrees in leadership and have always been really successful at leading teams of people through challenges. And this is why. This is how we're doing it. We're hearing people, we're working with them, we're helping them, making sure that they are addressing their challenges, that they're reflecting and they're moving forward in a way that's really successful. We're doing things for the right reasons, not because somebody said you have to check this box, but we are doing this as a group. We're supporting one another, and we're working through in a way that's really positive for everybody. And so I think that lines up really well in terms of what you were talking about versus what I also believe in terms of parenting and how we do that for ourselves and our kids a little bit better. You also
Yeah.
talked a little bit about voice and song and using that in your own therapy. Can you just give me an example of how you use it for yourself?
How I use it for myself. So one of the things I love to do, I love incorporating nature. So I like to
Mm,
go outside, feet in the grass,
yep.
and do some somatics and
Mhm,
then do some singing. And there's power when we actually vocalize, we allow ourselves to speak. Because I grew
mhm,
up with, quiet, you still yourself, nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
yep.
And so for me, singing came as I wanted to, but I also felt a lot of shame around it. So
Mhm,
for me, at first it was even being visible. Like when I started attending the somatic coaching classes, I
mhm.
had to be on camera.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think the first step was allowing myself to be seen, even in my judgment of myself, or this should be different,
Mhm.
or that, whatever it is, and just being fully present and authentic there. And then really stepping into, I'm allowed to have a voice. I'm
Yeah.
allowed to sing loud, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So
Yep.
for me, it's funny because the first song I sang with my music group, Beth Noel, she's amazing, um, was Blackbird by the Beatles.
Oh,
That was
interesting.
and for me, I my parents didn't really like the Beatles. I don't know why, because I think they're amazing. But the song talks about take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Mhm,
It's not about just fixing yourself and then you can present your perfect person to the world.
mhm,
No.
mm-mm. It's not what we
Come
do.
out, bring your tools, bring your failures, bring your successes, and let's help the world. Let's help the world. So for me,
Mhm,
it's like, just even if you have to close your eyes, just allow
mhm.
yourself to be seen. Like some of the songs, I kept my eyes closed in the beginning. They can't
I can
see
get
me if I
behind
can't
that.
see them.
Yeah.
But there's power when you
Yep.
really bring that
Mhm.
with you, and
Yeah.
really doing it from a place of alignment. Like, I am speaking my truth. So I'm also very careful what I sing. My kids used to love this song, and the it's catchy in the beginning, and then I'm like, "Oh no, that's that song." It says, "It's too late to apologize." And I'm like, "You cannot listen to that." And
Oh, I know. Yep. Yep.
yeah, I'm like, "No,
Uh-huh.
like, I don't want anyone to feel like it's never too late to apologize."
Yep.
You know? And so being cautious with what we are listening, what we're taking in, because that subconscious really hears it.
Mhm,
And then just having the courage to make the mistake, having the courage to let it sound off, or to sing the wrong key, or sing the
mhm.
wrong word. So what?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
why this perfection? So for me, that was, I think, one of the biggest part of letting go of the perfection
Yeah.
was through
And it's
voice. Like,
hard.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna show up as me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really challenging. It reminds me, so years and years ago, my mom and I taught Zumba together, which was super fun, like Latin dance kind of thing. And at the
Mhm.
end, we would do a cool down song and I would sing it as loud as I possibly could. Nobody's paying me to sing for them. And so I would just belt it out and it was hysterical and it was funny. And people still come up and be like, remember when you used to sing to us? Like, I'm sorry about that. But I do, and I use, like, music and it's not even about the words, it's about for me, it's about the sound, and I'll sing words that
Mhm.
don't necessarily or sounds that don't even make any sense or, like, they're definitely not the words that are the song, but I don't care, it's just about the feeling feeling. And then I have a playlist that is just, I love this playlist, and it is about me being in the right space at the right time and feeling good. And there's one
Mhm.
song in particular, and I'll put a link in the notes for this, that will bring me back to the place that I need to be every time. And I'll often close classes with this song, and it's, I Am Light by Indy Ari.
Mm.
Oh, it's just so beautiful,
Ooh.
and it's about, like, the same everything that we've been talking about, like, allowing forgiveness, not feeling hate, not, just not feeling like there's an expectation of yourself. So that's one of my favorites, I'll put it out there. Do you have one that you would wanna share with the group that I could also link?
Oh,
Yeah, no pressure, I didn't ask you this ahead of
yeah,
time.
no, yeah, I'm like, "Okay, which one?" Um, oh, maybe I Release Control.
Okay,
I think that's
who's
the
that
one I
by? Do you
mentioned earlier,
remember?
I think. I will get let me
Yeah,
I
you
can look
send
it
it
up.
to me, we'll put it in the notes.
I'll put it yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
That
perfect.
one's that one really, like, hits me, and I love,
Mhm.
like, allowing all these tools that we have to be available for us, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah,
You can
and like
have a
you were
playlist
saying, yeah,
somewhere.
exactly, like you were saying earlier, it's whatever resonates for you, right? Like, if you wanna journal, journal, but that is not the only thing that you get to do. There are so many tools, and yet it's not something
Mhm.
that if you're gonna, like, put these hard, like, boundaries and structures around, it's probably not gonna work. That's back into that perfectionism. It's about finding the thing that's gonna work for you, maybe over the long term, or maybe just for today. This is the thing that I need right in this moment, and then I can figure out what it is that I need tomorrow, or what I can come back to. And, I've got a couple that I use every day, and then I've got a couple that I just, this is what I need today. That's okay. It's
Yes.
what works for
Yeah.
you, and everybody's different. It doesn't matter what your mom says. It doesn't matter what your spouse says. It doesn't matter what your teacher says. It's what works for you and what you need. Mm.
Right. And you have the right to change your mind at any point, as
Always,
many times
always.
as you want. Yeah.
Yes, and cycles, we've talked about this on this podcast, but cycles of life, seasons of life, they change.
Mhm.
What works for you today might not be the thing in 5 years, because your life has changed, and the things that you're going through has changed. Your expectations or your responsibilities have changed, so you get to figure that out.
I love
Awesome.
it.
So I
Love it.
have your email address that I will put in the notes. I have, for the somatic consultation. So you'll do a complimentary somatic consultation on your
Yes.
website. So I will also put that in the notes. But that the website is theharmonywithincoaching.com for anybody listening that doesn't pick up the notes, but it'll be there
Yeah.
for anybody that wants to pick that up. So
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you so much. This was such a great conversation. I had a feeling we were going to have a good time, and we were definitely going to line up in our thoughts and beliefs. So thank you so much. I
Definitely.
really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight.
It's my pleasure, and I'm excited. I'm excited to just keep moving forward and just we support each other. And
Always.
currently, my
Yep.
website is just a link to Calendly. I have someone helping me get my website up and running,
Oh,
but
beautiful. Oh,
I'm
the
happy to
hard things.
connect with
Yeah.
anything. Yeah,
Perfect. Oh,
yeah.
the hard
So,
things
but
we have to do when
and
we start business.
exactly, exactly. And so
Yeah.
I also have, if you want to email me,
Mhm.
I can um, get you that reset for success, the little document that I have that helps to regulate the nervous system. But also, if people would like to do a
Perfect.
complimentary session and just try it out, see if it's for them, I'm happy to do that. I'm in a position right now where that's an opportunity, so I'd love to share these tools with people. So
Fantastic. I
yeah,
appreciate that. All right. Very
yes,
good. Everyone, I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next week. All right, friends, if this has served you, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to grab your pre order of Radical Resilience, the new book that will be out October 10th. When you order the book, then send me an email and let me know that you ordered the book, so that you get your personal invitation to the activation call that will follow that evening. And also, you'll be put into some drawings for some cool prizes. So don't forget to grab the book and let me know that you grabbed the book, so that I can send you those things. And I think that is all for tonight. It was a good time. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, I love you.